Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Wisteria Rose and I am the independent author of my debut novel, Mythomania. It is a new adult romantic suspense novel, so if you haven't read it yet, please check it out. All the links will be down below. So today guys, I don't know if I want to say a serious video, but this is something that's been on my mind for a little bit and I thought I would kind of share my opinions on it and kind of let you guys know what my thoughts are. So basically, there has been, especially recently, a kind of influx of stories in which a character pretty much gets stalked by a male character and they're all like alpha male and like super sexy and like you know what I'm talking about, 50 Shades of Grey stories, 365 days type stories and everything like that. And while I don't think those stories are inherently bad or anything, there is a kind of message that they're pushing forward that I think can be dangerous, especially for people, consumers who are younger. Of course, these books aren't targeted for people who are like high school age, college age, you know, stuff like that. But even still, there's been kind of, in young adult novels, there has also been characters who do have kind of that same like creep factor as guys, as Christian Greys and whatever the 300, what is that guy's name? I don't know. At least that actor was more attractive than the Christian Grey one. But on the surface level, a lot of people may take a look at Mytho and think it's going to be one of those type of stories. There's an attractive man who is stalking a girl and they end up having some sort of relationship that comes from that. And while I want to say that on paper it may seem similar, there is a very important difference between stories like Mytho and stories like the other stories, and that is abuse is being romanticized in a lot of those other more mainstream stories. If you don't know what I'm talking about, let's take 365 days, okay? If you haven't seen it, you probably don't want to. I haven't seen it either, but I watched my favorite YouTuber, her name is Kennie JD. I will also leave her information down below, but she made a video putting on her makeup and kind of talking about the story and everything like that. So basically, he does a lot of like creepy and violent and abusive things towards his love interest, and that are like not cool and supposed to be really sexy and like, ooh, let me get some of that. And I'm like, but he's hurting you. And this is not a lot of these stories usually also have like more BDSM themes and stuff like that. Oh my god, am I ever gonna stop saying and stuff like that? Wow. A lot of these stories have more mature scenes where there's a specific type of sexual relationship that's going on between the two characters. However, the big problem with this is that relationship was not established or happening between those two characters at that point in time. When he was grabbing her by her neck and shoving her against the wall and we were supposed to be like, oh my god, that's so like masculine and hot, and that was not a sex thing. That was a violence thing, and that's not okay, and that's not something that I think we should continue to view as okay and charming and attractive and everything, because that's not a healthy relationship. Now, I wanted to point out with Mytho, there is a very different, and they have a switch in dynamics that happens towards the end of the story. There will be plenty of spoilers in this video, so if you haven't read Mytho yet, maybe this one isn't for you. I feel like I say that a lot. But in the beginning, Jaemin is a very clingy and obsessive and stalkery type of guy, and Isla is not about it. And when I mean not about it, I mean actually not about it. Not like, oh, I'm gonna fight him, but all of this violence is really attractive and I'm into it. No, she's really actually not about it. And the difference, I feel, primarily falls with Jaemin as a character. I consider him to be the main character of the story over Isla. Sorry about it. But Jaemin is not a violent person. Even though Isla ends up getting put in a very unfortunate situation and does end up getting kidnapped and has some violence against her, it is never by Jaemin. I wanted that to be really important and really out there and obvious, because I don't think that if you start off like kidnapped by someone and they're violent towards you and everything like that, that an actual healthy relationship can ever really come of that, you know, because that's just abuse. In Mytho, I wanted it to be very obvious to the readers and to Isla and everyone else that something was very not okay with Jaemin, that something was very not right with him mentally, and that he needed some sort of help, and that the whole reason she was there was because some conniving characters were like, maybe you can help him on his journey to get help. So she was not there because, you know, someone was like, oh, she's a pretty woman, I must kidnap her off. No, none of that. I didn't want any of that to happen in the story, because I feel like that would take away any chance of actual romance. I wanted Jaemin and Isla to be able to be jacked up people, but still be able to grow and have a semblance of a healthy relationship once all this stuff has happened. There are things that Jaemin does to Isla which are incredibly manipulative and not okay, that you definitely should not do to your significant other. But Jaemin also, there's a lot of things I want to talk about Jaemin's character, but I never gave him a diagnosis because I am not a doctor. And I know the negative stigma that a lot of take movies like Split, of someone having different personalities or having bipolar disorder or whatever, people, or schizophrenia, that puts a really negative societal look on people with these mental issues, and that's really also problematic because most people with mental health issues are not serial killers. So that's primary reason I never gave Jaemin a diagnosis, was because it was not my place as an author, you know, to do that. It was not something that I'm trained in. It's not something that I wanted to have that big of an effect. You can kind of piece together and make your own conclusions, and that's totally fine. That's absolutely what I wanted you to do as a reader, but I never wanted to go and come out and straight out with a diagnosis and say what he has, because that can have an absolutely awful effect on the mental health community. And as someone who has struggled with her own mental health, I know that stigma is not fun. So I didn't want that. I didn't want Jaemin to be a violent character. I didn't want him to ever raise, you know, his hands against Isla or, you know, anything like that. He is not a healthy person and they don't have a healthy relationship. But I never wanted Isla to feel like he would really hurt her or take advantage of her or anything like that. Which is why when like the first the first explicit scene that happens between Jaemin and Isla, I was very careful to have her be the one to initiate such things, not because Jaemin was forcing her into that situation, but because she personally felt at that moment that making that decision would be the best thing in her life, and that was her decision as a character. So basically what I'm trying to say is, I think it's totally fine if you want to write about characters who don't have perfectly shining mental health and who are kind of jacked up and still also do fall in love. I think because, you know, that's real life. I don't think it's okay to write stories where a character is just blatantly abusive and there's just no way for a healthy relationship to blossom out of that type of situation. And I think we need to stop honestly saying that and putting that out into the universe and thinking that like, oh yes, that's just super attractive. I definitely don't think so. So with Mytho, what I really wanted to drive home was that yes, Jaemin needs help. Jaemin is not okay. Isla's here because she wants, in her personal psyche as a character, she always is someone who wants to help other people, and that's why she's there. But the two of them end up falling in love, not because of the mental health or the abuse or anything like that, but because they spend time together and do things that couples usually do and legitimately develop those feelings from being with each other as people, not because one of them is shoving another one against walls and that's supposed to be hot and sexy. So that's basically what this, is this a rant? I don't want to call it a rant, but basically that's my 2 cents on the situation. I don't think Mytho's perfect by any means, but I really do hope that no one reads Mytho and it's like gets the same kind of 365 days 50 Shades of Grey type of vibes, because that's really not what I wanted it to be. I wanted to be absolutely clear that my characters were going and seeking professional help, that they were getting professional help and doing the things that they needed to do to better themselves as people before they could actually pursue a healthy relationship. So that's my 2 cents on the tea. On the community. So if you guys want to write stories that are a little, you know, scandalous or whatever, go for it, absolutely. But please also think about what your story is, what the message of the story is, even if that's not intentional. A lot of, almost every, I'm gonna say every book has messages, and that will be interpreted differently by other people. But I think it's up to your job as the author to know what you're writing and feel proud that you can stand behind what you wrote as what it is, you know. So never be ashamed of what you write. Write what you want to write and do the best that you can to make sure that things are factually accurate and portray the message that you want them to portray. Of course, it's totally fine to take some liberties with certain things. I took liberties in Mytho to achieve certain plots or scenes. But yeah, so that's basically my long rant on this. That's why I feel like Jaemin is a different character. I wanted him to actually be someone that readers and that Isla could really feel bad for, because he does have all of these things that have happened to him and that have affected him and his mental health and his relationships and everything very impactfully. And I wanted characters to feel bad for him and want him to get better. Not, you know, I feel like that's not the vibe that you get from those other types of stories. So basically, don't romanticize abuse, please. That's kind of jacked up. Of course, there will always be stories where something else is happening and you can't control how your readers will, you know, connect with the story or what they think the story will be about. So that is all for today, you guys. This was absolutely full of spoilers. I am sorry, but maybe it might have made you want to check it out some more. So yes. So if you haven't already, please like and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Bye bye. Strut and then sashay, but I don't work for free. That's not the tea, hunty. Da 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 da. My nails, hair, hips, heels, nails, hair, hip, heels. Go on, Todrick.